Hello, and welcome to the first episode of what I am tentatively calling In the Scene. The idea is to gain some insight into the ever changing, always changing music industry through conversations with fellow musicians and industry folk. I hope you're doing well. I hope that this can bring at least a small distraction to the world around us, and maybe even open up the door to some awesome music that you didn't even know was there. I hope. I had the immense pleasure of speaking to fellow singer-songwriter Rory D'Lasnow this week, face to face, thanks to the wonders of technology. And you should all go check him out, follow him, listen to his music. He's awesome. I will have all of his social stuff linked down below. While you're at it, you should subscribe here, because if you enjoy this interview, I have a bunch more that are in the works. So chances are you'll like those also. And, check out my band. Check out some of the film stuff that I've worked on. And, I'll have those links conveniently below also. And now, here's the interview with Rory. Rory, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? Can you hear me?
I hear you perfectly.
Perfect, man.
How's it going?
How's it going?
Oh, it's going, dude. How about you? How's quarantine treating you?
Not too bad. I've been working a bit and getting out.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's definitely good from an income standpoint, and being able to contribute to society. How about yourself?
Hunkered down, really. I'm lucky enough I get to do some work from home, so
Good.
if I keep looking up this way, it's actually because I have you on a screen up here, so I'm making eye
I
contact
figured.
without you. Sorry.
I got you. No worries. I'll just look over here for no apparent reason.
There you go. We're even. It's perfect. So, thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
The idea here, I had the wild notion, like everyone else in the world, to start a podcast. But mine would be geared more toward musicians, much like yourself. I got started in music years ago, and then I had a kid right as I was getting to the point where, we were doing tours and that kind of thing. And so I quit the band. It's been on the back burner for a long time, but I kind of can't take it back burner anymore, man.
Yeah.
So I've been keeping busy, but it's just a job. So
Yeah. You love what you love, man.
yeah, exactly. So now that I'm really trying to get back into it after 7 years or so, it's a new world, man. Yeah. So my idea here is to talk to other musicians who have been more involved than me for the last 5 or so years, and get their input and see where they are, and kind of help, I don't know, spread the love and create a scene.
I love it.
So I'm thinking about calling this In the Scene.
Cool.
Because I'm really creative, and I've interviewed one other person. She actually does a lot of booking. She's gotten some bands on Warped, and she's local. She's totally DIY, but she's not a performer. You're the first performer I've had. So
Hi.
So Rory D'Lasnow, why don't you tell us about yourself, please?
Sure. So one of the first things that people notice about me is I play the guitar upside down and backwards with the strings incorrectly strung, the low E on the bottom and the high E on top. But I've been playing like that since I was a little kid.
That's awesome.
I started playing probably in kindergarten or first grade, and just kind of never put it down.
Very nice.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time second guessing myself, though. Listening to the societal messages that it's an unrealistic pursuit, and it's just sort of letting my anxieties get the best of me until probably it's been about two and a half years now, when I decided I just wasn't gonna let anything deter me, and I started playing as many shows as I can. Started with open mics and just tried to keep that ball rolling.
That's awesome, dude. And that's actually going to lead me into a later part of this. So I'm going to hang on this for a second, though. I want to know, what was the learning curve like for picking up guitar upside down, backwards?
Since I learned so young, I don't think I really paid attention to it, but
Okay,
I will say I never found that things looked backwards to me. Like a
interesting.
common question I get is, how do you read tabs upside down? And to me, they don't look upside down. It's
Right.
just, I guess I just learned to read them backwards.
That's nuts. I
Um,
would never have thought of that. That's a good point.
yeah, it's kind of surprising because I'd imagine if you were reading anything else upside down, it would be pretty problematic. But
Right.
yeah, I learned as a kid and I just sort of did the same thing everybody else did, reading tabs and chord books, Beatles' complete collection of
Nice.
simple chords and whatnot. And yeah, nothing really different in that terms of that.
Are you like a shredder? Like, do you
Everything's
double tap and all that kind of stuff?
not quite,
Okay,
not quite.
okay.
I've improved a little bit, but I think that the emphasis for me has always been on songwriting. So I've never really prioritized any sort of complex techniques.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I'm right there with you, actually. I wish
Yeah.
I was a blues man. I'm not, though.
Hey
Uh,
man,
you know.
at the end of the day, songs are what I think what most people gravitate to. Those are the
Oh,
things that
100%.
stick in people's minds more than riffs and whatnot.
Absolutely agree with you. That
Yeah.
they're what stick with you the longest, you know.
Yeah.
Are now you're involved in the tri-state area scene though, right? Like that's
I
like your home
am. Yeah.
base. And are you originally from the tri-state area?
I am. I was born in Englewood, lived there for about 16 years. Took a couple detours. Michigan, I went to school out there. My
Oh,
dad
cool.
lives in PA. Took a job in the San Francisco area for a while, but ended up back here in Teaneck, which is a bordering town. So
Okay.
Bergen County, born and raised.
I'm familiar. Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
Born and raised, man. Nice. Now, I
Sure.
mean, you are a professional musician. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I so admittedly right now I've been leaning more on my mental health job. So I've the primary thing that I've been doing throughout my adult life has been working in mental health. I've had a couple
Okay.
little detours here and there. There was a period in time when I was only gigging and doing doing all right, but I found that um, with original music, the priority, for better or worse, is finances.
Mhm.
So if you can make more money doing something else and you aspire to be an original musician, it seems to be that that's the right way to go to get a day job. Until, of course, you can't swing it anymore because you're so overrun with people begging you to
Oh,
play.
geez. Yeah, I mean, the fans are
but
nonstop. It's too true.
but yeah, because the cover gig scene was paying the bills honestly for a little bit there, and
I
I
believe that.
still hope to at least once this passes, hopefully,
Right. Well, the
get back
summertime's
on
a
that
good time for
horse.
that, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it seems like I've only been doing that for about a year, but it seems like cover gigs come around a lot more in the warmer weather months.
Yeah. I mean, and
More
especially
bars with patios and whatnot.
right. Yeah. I mean, especially down the shore, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that as well. Yeah.
Now, I have to say, like taking the leap to be a professional musician because of exactly what you just described. That takes some balls, man.
Hey,
Now,
thanks, man. Yeah, I got lucky in that I found a couple people, and this has been the major determining factor in the direction of the trajectory of my career so far. Meeting people who want to help. That's something that I never really anticipated when I was second guessing myself. But I met
yeah,
a dude that was a drummer for one of my actually my first full band gig,
okay.
and he said, if you're looking to play cover gigs, you might check out this guy Tony. Reached out to Tony. He books a lot of cover gigs, plays a lot of cover gigs. He's helped keep me busy.
Good guy to know, man.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you find that you had to make some sacrifices to kind of make that work?
Like being a full time musician.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, most people could probably guess it's not quite as profitable as working like a six-figure sales job or something. So I did
Right.
have to kind of cut my expenses and stuff. But honestly, there are times that I miss doing it full time because it's probably predominantly because of the my ability to be able to say, yeah, I'm a full time musician. But at the end of the day, like I said, the key distinction is if you're looking to just be a professional musician and you don't care whether it's originals or covers, then by playing cover gigs, you're getting your name out there. It's
Right.
achieving that goal. But there's very little overlap between people who are interested in hearing you play covers and people who are interested in hearing original music.
That's the truth, man.
So I definitely don't downplay it, but my primary focus is original music. So when I
For
realized
sure.
I could supplement that with a standard non-music job, I said, well, it's not as glamorous, but it's definitely a means to an end. And I love what I do, so it's not a total
No, for
loss.
sure.
You just lose that prestige factor being full-time musician.
Right, but no one has to know.
Yeah,
I can cut around
except
this part of
anyone
the
listening to
conversation.
this.
I can cut around this part of the conversation if you want.
Yeah,
Um, no, but for real, like you say, obviously, it comes with the sacrifice of like the income factor, and I
yeah,
don't. As weird as it is, I don't think a lot of people do understand that. I don't think it is a
yeah.
given that if I'm a full time musician, it must be because you're making the big bucks, and
Right.
no, it's because you've realized there's nothing else in this world that makes you
That's a
as
good point.
happy as
Yeah,
doing that. So you take that sacrifice, or you make that sacrifice, I should say. Um,
yeah,
you know,
that's definitely true. Yeah, a lot of the money I made was via tips, and
for
of
sure.
course, tips are unpredictable. So you're really sort of putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, man.
But
You play a half an hour set and you make $50. It's a fairly decent night.
it's true.
Yeah,
It's
but you can
true.
walk away with $2 and feel like, man, did I suck that bad?
Yeah,
I thought it was a pretty good set.
exactly. There's like no rhyme or reason to it for the most part, it seems. But
Exactly.
I should also amend it by saying the job that I was working before this, um, before I made the leap to full time music, was stressful and not where my heart was at. So
That's
there
huge
was,
too.
yeah, there was definitely a time when I said I have to follow what I love. It just happened to be that there was this side job that's turning into like more hours is kind of less stressful and a nice way to supplement everything.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it certainly does help. Like I worked. Oh my god, what a dead end job it was, going nowhere. And not that I wanted to anyway. I hated doing what it was.
hmm,
But the guys who I worked for understood that I was a musician, and they were good enough to help me with that because they didn't want to pay me more.
yeah,
So they were happy to see me go.
yeah, right. It's a
um,
win-win situation on both sides,
exactly.
I guess.
Exactly,
Yeah,
man. I know the answer to this question because I feel like uh, musicians are kindred spirits in that respect. But do you find it as fulfilling as you'd hoped being a quasi full time musician?
yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's the only thing. It's the only thing that feels right. And I think that before even dabbling in this, even before full time, before I was doing it consistently,
Mhm.
I was like kind of always like baseline miserable. Like life is not excruciating, but there's
Right.
always this pull that was like, this isn't really who I think I am or where I need to be.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing. You feel the same?
Oh, 100%, man. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's very validating to hear you say that because sometimes explaining it to someone who isn't a musician or hasn't been on the stage before, and you go, "No, there's nothing else. Like I don't care that I've got three pennies to rub together in my pocket. Like,
right.
you know, I had the best night of my life last night because I played to a room full of 50 people,
Oh
and
yeah,
they just don't get it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you can't eat today. It's fine. It's all good.
Dude, no, that's yeah, that's definitely a beautiful feeling. There have been times when, yeah, the only way I can explain it is some of those highs in music, the really high highs are higher than anything. There's just no comparison.
Absolutely.
So it's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Well said, man. Genuinely curious to understand how it is you got to this point. I mean, you said that you work in, or you predominantly have worked in mental health.
Yeah.
What brought you to the point where you decided? And you said you've been playing since you were a kid, so maybe there was never anything else. But what brought you to the point where you said, "I'm a songwriter. I have to get up on stage and share this with people, and this is who I am." Like, what
Turning
was that arc?
30.
Really?
Approaching
Okay.
30 years old
Awesome.
made me go, oh man, this is really like not going to happen unless I make it happen like tomorrow.
For sure. That'll do it.
um, and again, people helped bring that along. It was actually one of my coworkers at this mental health job that I used to work at that was very intense, shall we say, who said, I'm from Hoboken. Her name is Kristen, is Kristen. I'm from Hoboken. I play a lot of these open mics. You should come out. And I thought, well, Hoboken's scary and there's a lot of people there. And I don't know, we'll see. And then she just she wouldn't let me chicken out until I went and I met, a ton of people, and those people introduced me to more people. And before I knew it, I had someone who was saying, listen, there's this show you can play in October at Teaneck, your hometown, at a really cool venue called Debonair Music Hall. Do you want to
I've
take
heard of
it?
that place.
I said, all right, yeah. I'm not like, who am I to turn down an opportunity? Let's just go for it.
Exactly.
And since then, it's been, I don't know, it's something like 150 shows since October 2018. So roughly a little bit over a year. And
Yeah.
I've just been playing, some of
Wow.
them are small cover gigs, some of them are New
Whatever.
York City, bitter end and Rockwood music halls of the world. But yeah, just
Nothing wrong with those places, man.
nose to grindstone. Absolutely, man. Love those places.
Hell yeah. No, that's awesome, dude. 150 shows in just over a year. That's
Yeah.
baller,
Thank
man.
you, man.
Jeez.
Keep a spreadsheet, so I'm real organized. I look
Yeah,
at it,
yeah.
I motivate myself with that,
Ah.
Thanks,
Well,
man.
then what would you find to be your biggest challenge, either in the business aspect of things or in the songwriting aspect? Like, what's the challenge as a professional musician?
Man, um, it's so easy. I don't know. There's no challenges, right? No, I'm just kidding.
That would be the dream
Only
answer right
kidding.
there,
No,
man.
boy, just I guess getting people who are truly interested to find you, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's the eternal struggle.
Isn't it?
There's so many things.
I mean,
Uh,
it's another validating thing to hear another musician, someone who I genuinely enjoy your music. I like watching you perform.
Right.
But the to hear you say that the struggle is getting people to show up at the door.
Yes.
That has been the struggle since day one, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. Meeting a lot of musicians has showed me that it is very common for 50 people to say, "I'm definitely going to be there," and then like none of them come.
And then
I've
yeah,
been very lucky in that I haven't overpromised for a crowd. Like I've yet to have one of those
Yeah.
moments where I tell the venue I'll definitely bring this many, and then I totally failed.
too many times, man. Too many times.
Yeah, I should say at least it's never happened to the point where it's damaged a relationship. There's this one place that I played a lot. I brought really good crowds. Basically, I was in really good terms with them and could get onto most shows. And there was one show where it was on a holiday, and
Oh,
it was just not meant to
the cards
go
are stacked
well.
against you.
Yeah, I think they kind of were like, all right, like you've done more good by us than you've screwed us. So sort of got a freebie on that.
It's a
But
good position to be in, man.
yeah, I try not to rock the boat. Put
No,
it
it's
that way.
good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's smart because a lot of other musicians, like as many musicians as there are out there that are smart and understand the craft and the business aspect and know not to, for lack of a better phrase, shit where they eat. Um, you find people who are just like, I'll bring 50 people, and then they show up with two guys
Right.
who helped load in, didn't pay the cover charge, and then it gives the rest of us a bad rap.
Right.
You know.
A lot of people complain about the requirements and the pressures of playing for these venues. I mean, some people have said to me it's a hoax or a scam to have musicians be required to sell tickets. And I mean, there are of course some shady tactics that go
Sure.
on in the world, but at the end of the day, the venue needs to stay in operation. If we had no venues, we'd have nowhere to play. So to some extent, I am kind of like a defender of, you need to pay the sound guy, you need to pay the bartenders,
Oh, yeah.
you need to pay the waiters. Let's be reasonable. If you're asking for like 1,000 heads at a 6 p.m. on a Wednesday, then yeah, we can be a little bitter here. But let's not be unrealistic. It's if nobody comes to
Absolutely.
the show, everybody loses.
I'm gonna put up a little bit of a restraint on that one. When you have to sell 35 tickets at $15 a ticket for a Tuesday night at 11 p.m. ahead of time,
Yeah.
and then no one shows up, and you sold the tickets, it's either because you've paid out of pocket, so you're paying to play, or people didn't show up because it's Tuesday night at 11 o'clock, and then it starts to rain, which in this city apparently keeps everyone indoors.
I have noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, man. The city that never sleeps unless it rains. Then, all bets are off. I love the venues. I grew up in the city wanting to live in like 1990s New York City. Of course, I was a child at that point, so that didn't really work out for me. Like all the classic ones. The Spiral is gone. CB's is gone. And those are places that, because they had the name, they had the draw. You didn't have to bring your crowd with you. The venue inherently had one. And I feel like New York has lost that sort of glimmer.
Yeah.
Um,
I unfortunately never was exposed to that world, and the
So
extent of my
sad, man.
knowledge about the Spiral, I know CBGBs, but the extent of my knowledge about the Spiral was literally from reading on Wikipedia, like who played where back in the
Hell
day.
yeah, dude.
And like I look it up on Google Maps, and I'm like, wow, that used to be there, huh? And now
Yeah.
there's like a McDonald's.
Or
Sucks.
or John Barbados
Yeah,
with
that's
CBGBs.
CBGBs, right? Yeah.
I mean, I'm lucky enough where I started playing when I was 17 years old, 16, turning 17 years old, in a punk band with guys who were 10 years older than me. So we would play. I played the Spiral. I played CBGBs, and I got kicked right the hell out afterwards because I was underage.
Right. Yeah.
So I got some fun stories like that. But then after I, came of age, like Elbow Room is gone, Spiral's gone. You have places like Arlene's, and Rockwood is fairly new, but you have places like that, and they're amazing. But they don't have the luxury of being a New York City venue that comes with the name.
Yeah.
Like you said, they have a business that they have to maintain, and I get it.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, I think, is what that long-winded rebuttal was.
Yeah, it is. It's hard for me to be fully on the side of the venue all the time because we have obviously everyone's run into situations where you get the hard-nosed talent buyer promoter that's like giving you a hard time. But yeah,
Right.
just generally speaking, I try to look at the whole picture, put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you a concert goer as well?
Yeah, I would say so. A disproportionate amount of my time gets taken up by supporting my friends, though. That sounds
That's not
like
a
something
bad
I
thing.
don't enjoy, but I do.
That's
No,
admirable. Not a lot of people take the time to do that.
that's just the thing. I mean, I'm lucky to be surrounded by a lot of people who I really genuinely enjoy. So it's no thankless task. It's just
Right.
I would rather be at a local show supporting a friend than at like a big stadium where it didn't matter if I was there or not. As much as I love, loud music.
Hell yeah, 100%. I mean, look, you ever been to a show where you were so excited to see the band? You get there, they take the stage, and you just kept waiting for the energy to come.
Yeah, 100%.
But then you go to this place that holds maybe 100 people if they stand there stacked like sardines, and you were waiting for the moment where you could take a breath because there was so
Yeah,
much energy in the room. And,
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know, I don't know. There's something really magical about a great local band. They've got the heart that the big guys seem to have forgotten about.
100%. That's a critical difference. There's one time I went out to, I want to say Lansing, Michigan, and I won't mention who it was that I saw, but one of my favorite bands. And like
Oh no!
midway through their set, I was just bored out of my mind.
Oh
The guy
really?
just mailed it in, it seems. So
Oh, that's disappointing.
yeah, Michigan's far.
Michigan,
I was
yeah.
living in New Jersey at this point, I should say. So
Okay, that's a big difference
yes.
because you said you were out there for a while, so I thought, well, that's not that bad.
Right. No, this was I think I drove out, so it was
Ugh,
like
that's like 10 hours.
it is exactly 10 hours, yeah. And I was going to see some friends as well, so it became like a
Fine.
more than just one show trip, but that was definitely the driving force behind the trip. It was disappointment. It was like a festival too. There were a lot of
Oh,
good. There was Say Anything was there. The Front Bottoms were
oh shit.
there.
I don't know.
Oh
I don't know front
man,
bottoms.
yeah. They're like one of those bands that everyone's supposed to like that I can't really get into.
Oh,
But
gotcha.
I want to say Circus Survive was there. It was like
Oh
a
wow.
pretty like wild festival, but
That sounds like a good time. I mean,
yeah.
clearly it wasn't, but it sounds like a good time. On
Overall, it
paper, it
was
was a good
good.
time. Well, what's the biggest day you had? Like, what was the top to bottom
Man.
best day as a performer you had? And that can include just getting there and showing up at the venue and going, holy shit, this is that place, and I get to play here.
Yeah, there have been a lot of moments like that. Thank God. I've been
That's
so
that's
lucky
good.
to keep having those because I'm kind of like I said, I have a spreadsheet, which some people find neurotic, but I find organized.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I'm just, it's like every venue that I've like ever heard of. Like there's
Okay.
ones in like Denver, Colorado, and I'm like, yeah, I want to play there like
Yeah.
someday.
Hell yeah.
So there have been a lot of like little milestones like that, but probably it might actually be the show that you came to at Arlene's Grocery, March 1st,
Okay.
right before quarantine set in.
Right before, yeah, man, like days before.
Yeah. And the reason for that is I've always wanted to be in a band, and probably because predominantly because of my own like second guessing. It hadn't happened. And
Gotcha.
I'm working with a full-time band called tentatively called Black Rose Revival
Uh-huh.
that really great dudes, but we had a little lineup change. There've been a couple obstacles preventing
Yeah.
us from playing an actual show yet. So short of that, there's only been 2 times I've played a full band show, and this one at Arlene's was like
No
so
way.
fun, you know.
Only 2
Um,
times.
yeah, only two. Once at Debonair in
Man.
August of last year,
Uh-huh.
and then March 1st. And the really cool thing about this was um, the guys that played with me in the first gig were buddies of mine that I was looking forward to play with. They came as a group though.
Okay.
So to some extent that was really fun. But for this one, the fun thing about it was I just handpicked 2 guys that didn't even know each other. And I was just
Oh.
like, those guys are so cool. I want my band to have John Lurie and Tony Wynn, and there they were. The energy was insane. I mean, I have so much
Awesome.
yeah, I have so many photos and videos that I'm going to be releasing over time
Nice.
that are just like absurd. And so many people came that I wasn't expecting to come. People that didn't know each other, people that left that place knowing each other, and that
Nice.
just makes me super happy.
Hell yeah, that's amazing, man. That does sound
Yeah.
like a hell of a night.
Yeah, it's a hell of a time.
You've mentioned mental health before,
Yes.
or that you work in mental health, not your own mental health status.
Or lack thereof.
Right. Yeah, as musicians, I think our mental health is questionable
Yes,
at best.
definitely true. Close to the territory.
Yeah. What Sure. Exactly do you do?
Predominantly what I do now is I work as a residential counselor. So I go into group homes of people with severe and persistent mental illness, supervise medications, help them with their meals, just kind of make sure everything's going according to, what it's supposed to.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then also sometimes I do partial care, which is the day program, sort of like a school for adults. I run groups. And we found a good way to kind of integrate music into that because a lot of my coworkers and the clients, they're called the folks with the mental illness, are aware of me playing music, and they've asked me to play or asked me to run groups that are music oriented and things like that. So it's all kind of coming together.
That's awesome, man. If you had to pick a day job, that sounds like a pretty fulfilling one.
Yeah, it really is, because the job that I had before, and I'm not trying to badmouth the last place I worked, but it was just very intense. And there I was a case manager, which meant I was responsible for every aspect of about 20 people's lives.
Oh, wow.
And that includes legal issues, alcohol and drug issues, things that I candidly know nothing about, and we aren't essentially trained to know anything about. But it's the nature of the job. You got to pivot. You kind of got to learn as you go. But that job, while there are plenty of people who love it, and I love aspects of it, is just so all-encompassing and so stressful to try to have a music career with. So God bless the people that do that. But that was like running me ragged.
That sounds pretty stressful. Yeah. So last couple questions for you then.
Sure.
What's the plan? Like, where are you going? What's the trajectory?
Yeah. Well, that depends on the length of this pandemic, unfortunately.
Good point.
And, public health and safety of the people that I know and love is first priority. But, obviously I'd be lying if I said that there wasn't some concern for how long this lasts and what it entails. But the long and short of it is just to keep continuing on the same path, to play more places, to play with my proper band, Black Rose Revival.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, thank you, man. The songs are really good. There have been times when I've done things that I've been like, people seem to like it, so I'm going to do it. But I didn't completely endorse the product. And this time I'm like, oh, yeah, no, this is going to be great.
Oh, it's awesome.
The reason I bring up the pandemic, though, is because I had a show at a very prominent New York venue that I was really excited about. It was going to be full band. It was going to be a single release show. I put the lineup together. That may not occur.
Gotcha.
And then there's this beer fest, AC Music and Beer Fest, that's being headlined by Newfound Glory, the early November, among others. And I was chosen as one of the 4 acoustic acts for that session. So it's a really huge honor. And that's already been pushed once from April 3rd to August. So
Okay.
I'm hoping that my future plans include those two things in some shape or form.
Yeah.
Also, I had shows in Seattle and Portland and Tacoma that were being set up. The Seattle one had been confirmed, but now it's definitely going to be um, at least postponed. So
Right. Oh, man.
hopefully those things occur.
Hopefully.
Too.
My fear for musicians and fellow people who are, aren't established, don't have to just sit at home, put their webcam on, and put something up that Fox will broadcast for them from their living rooms.
Right.
My concern is that we start to struggle so much that we have no choice but to sort of do what I've already done and back burner this whole thing to just make ends meet. And I would like that to not be the situation. My hope is that this turns around so that you and so many others can pick up with it again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thanks, man. So there's two things that brought to mind. One, the increase of live streams has really been a beautiful thing for artists and listeners. And, I've been on both sides of that. Right. Just going on Instagram and just seeing any member of my friends.
All day.
All day.
Awesome.
Exactly. I mean, that's been like such a boost for my own mental health. And then being able to be one of those performers has been good, both from a monetary standpoint. Inevitably, that's some part of it. And just being able to connect with people is so fun. And that's my favorite aspect of music in general.
Right.
And that's something that can happen in a truly unique way via live streams. On the negative side, I just worry about, again, the venues, because we may be able to put our careers on hold or transition to a different form of, performance.
Right.
But if the venues start disappearing, then I worry about that. But
yeah, I mean, that would be the game changer right there. Like,
yeah.
And the game is already changing so drastically as like the months tick by. Just the way that people consume the music and the way that people make the music and put it out there. It's hard to keep up with. And if the venues go away, songwriters, I think, are the next animal to go extinct.
Yeah. I had to give the negative side of this coin after giving the positive, right? Should have flipped that, being like, the venues are going to disappear, maybe, hopefully not, but we can all live stream and it's great.
Exactly. No, I mean, with any luck, they won't go anywhere.
Yeah, there has been an increased, in my opinion, awareness of the importance of the arts in this situation, because just like the folks who are working for minimum wage who have been, disparaged or belittled, now people are seeing how important those roles are, both musicians and minimum wage workers.
Yeah, man, they're keeping us alive.
Yeah, exactly. Both.
Yeah.
I mean, one more literally and one more metaphorically.
Exactly.
But, honestly, where would we be without the arts? Probably all losing our minds anyway.
Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you. Part of what I want to do with this thing is I wanted to include a performance with whomever I have the benefit of interviewing.
Yeah.
The whole web stream thing might put the kibosh on that. Like I said, I may just have to get you on the hook for another interview and then jam together.
Works for me.
But Mr. D'Lasnow, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Absolutely, man.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. And I will hopefully see you live and in person in living color soon.
Sounds good, man.
All right, brother. Be good. Stay safe.
All right, you too, dude. Take care, man.
All right, so that was Rory. Again, he's awesome. Make sure you give him a follow. Links are below. Subscribe here. Check out my band. Give us a follow. Give us a listen. All the love in the world. Please stay safe. Stay well. Take care of each other. And I'll see you next time.
Doesn't it I feel like when one person talks, it takes the mic away from the other person now. Or am I imagining that?
It might for the stream, but according to the settings, it's supposed to record us separately.
Oh, okay.
So I should have individual mics, and I've got a couple running over here.
Okay, cool.
So we'll see. Again, this whole thing might just get cut because it sounds like turd, but
Yeah.
it's worth a try. And,
Yeah,
like I said, I may just have to get you on the hook for another interview and then jam together.
I was going to unfriend you as soon as we finished here.
Oh,
Just kidding.